All right. So Steve, is he still going through the Satan and angels and demons
He just
topical
finished it. Yeah, he
this
finished
last
it.
week?
Yes, last week. So I think he's going to do heaven and hell this next week.
All right. This might be from that, but the question is, can Satan hear my thoughts? And if so, how do I fight against him?
Can you hear your thoughts? I know what Steve would say. I would say that Satan works in the realm of the mind. I don't know how he, like a lot of the stuff that happens in Scripture in terms of temptation and even the influence that Satan has. It's like it's got to be in the realms of the mind. And so when you think, we think of it as kind of like a mystical thing almost, like, oh, Satan's reading our thoughts. But if you have a being that's as smart and as strong and powerful as Satan is, we're talking about creating technology that's able to visualize what people are thinking, that
Right.
kind of stuff. And so, for us, I think a lot of times we just underestimate what Satan does. And so we, again, not even making it a spiritual spooky thing. Oh, he's reading our mind. Like your brain is a computer. I mean, it's sending chemical information and it's interpreting things as visual stimulus and all these things. So the idea that Satan could read your thoughts doesn't have to be the spooky, like, oh, he's inside my head and
Right.
investigating things. It's just like he's smarter than you and he knows what he's doing and he's crafty. And so I think he does. I think he works in the realm of the mind. And there's scripture that again doesn't explicitly say it, but over and over supports it.
Mm-hmm.
You have these stories where obviously Satan is moving and he speaks through a prophet and in a way that is against God and against his people, and he influences search. Job is a great example. There's a band of raiders that goes and robs his house and steals all of his stuff. How did Satan get these guys to do that? Obviously it was Satan, because Satan's the one that says, I want to touch Job.
Right.
Did he go down and talk to these guys? Hey, you guys need it, and even that's like, obviously he's working, he's influencing in these guys in the realm of the mind. So it's not very hard to think that if he can influence your mind, that he can read your thoughts, that he can understand, think what but even that, again, it's a lot spookier. We make it a lot spookier than it probably is.
Yeah.
It's probably, oh, it's like he read your text message. You wouldn't be freaked out if you read your text message. I mean, you'd be like, the guy
Sure.
can read radio frequencies. Big deal.
Yeah. No, that was a very scientific answer. I
Oh,
like
there you
that,
go.
Steve. You've been hanging out
That
with
one's
Steve
for
Winnery.
you, Steve.
All right. So second part to that is, regardless if he can read your mind or obviously he's a powerful being and he's been around a really long time. How do you fight against him?
Well, it's again the area of the mind. A passage that comes to mind is in 2 Corinthians 10. I'll just look it up real quick.
All right.
But it's the whole idea of battling in the realm of the mind, right? So we've got, it's in verse 4, it says verse 3, though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. So Paul's letting you know the ground rules of spiritual warfare. It's not flesh and blood, it's spiritual, and that's, he says the same thing in Ephesians 6, but he says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds, casting down arguments. So think about this. The weapons of our warfare, spiritual weapons, they're not fleshly, but they're mighty for pulling down strongholds, casting down arguments. So in what regard would that happen? It's like, obviously, again, it's in the realm of the mind, and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. And then this is the part that I really like to focus on when I'm sharing with people about the battle of the mind and how we combat Satan is his bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. And all this terminology is like military, right? Bringing a captive home from a battle is a military idea. It's the idea that you've gone and you conquered someone, and now you're taking those spoils home with you. And in the same sense, what we do is when we're engaging Satan in the realm of the mind, and he's tempting us, and a great book on this is Screw Tape Letters. C.S. Lewis, have you read it before?
Yes.
So yeah, it's fantastic. It's kind of trippy. I mean, it's like you end up thinking about stuff too much. You're like, I don't want, like, a demon under every rock kind of thing. But man, he's very brilliant. C.S. Lewis in this allegory goes through and describes how basically a demon is messing with this guy and his ploys and the way he tries to get him to turn away from God and all the things. If he can't turn away from God, he's going to try to make him ineffective as a Christian. And, again, just go back to the idea of bringing every thought into captivity is the idea that I'm going to make sure that I don't allow little thoughts to linger, that I'm going to battle every little thing that comes my way with truth. And, I go for that, I think of Philippians 4, where it says to think about things that are noble and pure and just and noteworthy and praiseworthy. And so when God, Satan is trying to force lies upon me, or he's trying to tempt me in an area, I need to change my focus off of those things and onto things that are godly or lovely or pure. And, that's really the way you combat sin. And it's in the plainest form is to always replace it with something that's godly rather than just not focus on that thing. And so, again, it's in the realm of the mind, and it's in the realm of being obedient to Christ and doing what God's called you to do. So it's, all the sins that we have, they begin with a seed in the mind. And so it doesn't matter how far or how deep someone's gone, it began with a thought, and they allowed that thought to conquer them. And so you have to take those thoughts into captivity and beat the devil.
Yeah. All right. I really like to answer, so I don't have anything to say to that.
Good.